I should have logged off when I had the chance. That's the thought that claws at me every night, especially when the clock hits 3 a.m. Most people laugh when they hear that 3 a.m. horror stories, creepypastas, witching hour nonsense. I used to laugh too, but what I saw in Minecraft at that exact hour isn't something I can laugh about. It isn't something I can forget. And maybe, by telling you this, I'm making sure you won't forget it either. I know I sound paranoid already. Maybe you think this is just another one of those fake scary seed stories floating around forums. That's fine. Believe what you want. But if even one person out there has experienced what I did, then maybe I'm not completely alone in this. And if you have, if you've ever loaded into a world that didn't feel right, please comment. Because I need to know I'm not losing my mind. It all started with something ordinary. Boring, even. I was up late, like I usually was, running on caffeine and nostalgia. Minecraft was comfort food for me, a simple game I could sink into, with its soft pixel landscapes and endless possibilities. I liked the quiet of it, the way the world felt like it belonged to me alone, even when no one else was online. But that night was different. I wish I could explain how I knew it right away. Maybe it was the silence in my room, or the faint hum of my computer fan, or maybe it was just my own nerves. But as the clock crept past 3 a.m., I felt this pressure. Like the game wasn't just waiting for me to play, it was waiting for me specifically. I should have logged off. I know that now. But back then, curiosity was stronger than fear. And I told myself the same thing you're probably thinking right now. It's just a game, except it wasn't. It hasn't been just a game for me ever since. What I saw that night still haunts me, inside, outside the screen. And the worst part? I don't think it's done with me yet. So here it is. My confession. My warning. Take it seriously, or don't. But whatever you do, remember this. Never load into Minecraft at 3 a.m. Because if you see what I saw, you'll never escape it. Minecraft was always more than just a game for me. It was the place I retreated to when the world outside felt too heavy, too loud, too complicated. There was something comforting about the blocky simplicity, the way the sun rose and set in that endless loop, the way chopping wood or mining coal made time feel manageable again. When everything else in my life was falling apart, Minecraft was predictable, safe. I had my rituals. I'd throw on an old hoodie, plug in my headphones, and let the glow of the screen light my room while the rest of the house slept. The background noises of the game, the crunch of footsteps on grass, the splash of jumping into water, the distant moo of cows were like white noise. Some nights I didn't even build or explore. I just walked through the world, listening, letting myself breathe. And when I wasn't alone, it was even better. My friends and I had this unspoken tradition. Late night sessions on Discord where we'd jump into some survival world, mess around, tell each other stories, and laugh way too loud for people who had responsibilities the next morning. There was Tyler, who always swore he knew the most efficient way to farm, but somehow managed to starve us half the time. There was Mia, who played the game like it was Sims building elaborate houses while the rest of us lived in dirt huts. And then there was me, somewhere in between, wandering aimlessly, mining until my inventory overflowed with junk. It was those nights that made Minecraft feel alive. Not just a game, but a space where friendship had texture, where laughter bounced off the pixelated walls of caves and echoed into something real. That's why what happened later was so jarring. To understand why I didn't log off, why I pushed forward when every instinct screamed to stop, you have to understand the comfort the game gave me first. When you've spent years associating something with safety, your brain doesn't want to let go of that, even when it's poisoned. That night began the same way. It was quiet, the kind of silence that makes you aware of every creak in your house. My headphones muffled it, filling my ears with the soft background music. Minecraft is famous for the kind that feels nostalgic, even the first time you hear it. My friends weren't on yet, so I decided to scroll through old forums, the kind buried under years of newer posts. That's when I found it. It was a thread with no title. Just a string of numbers and letters looked like a seed code. The message under it was simple. Load this world at 3 a.m., see for yourself. No username, no replies. When I refreshed the page, it was gone. I should have brushed it off. Another joke, another creepypasta. People have been writing harebrained knockoffs and haunted seed stories since forever. But something about this one lodged in my head. Maybe it was the bluntness of the message. Maybe it was the timing. Or maybe it was that I'd never seen a thread disappear that fast before. Still, I told myself it was nothing. Just curiosity. I copied the seed down, almost absent-mindedly, telling myself I wouldn't actually use it. Just keep it. Just in case, because here's the thing. Minecraft worlds are supposed to be infinite, but in a way, they're all the same. And if there really was a world out there that wasn't supposed to exist, a world hidden in the code, forbiddens, how could I not want to see it? But something about that night felt different, and I'd soon learn there was a reason for that. The seed sat in my notes app all day, like a splinter. I couldn't dig out. I told myself it was nothing, just another internet ghost story. But when night came and the clock crawled toward 3 a.m., I couldn't stop thinking about it. My friends were online by then, filling Discord with the usual chaos. Tyler cursing about lag. Mia humming while she stacked glass blocks into a house none of us deserved. I hesitated before speaking. Hey, you guys ever hear of weird Minecraft seeds? Like ones that don't act the way they're supposed to? Tyler laughed instantly. What, like harebrained crap? Dude, that's ancient. No, seriously, I said. I found this one on a forum. It disappeared right after I saw it. Mia chimed in, amused. Disappeared? Like what, some haunted Reddit thread? I could hear the grin in her voice, but there was a pause too, like a tiny ripple of curiosity beneath the sarcasm. I don't know why I even brought it up. Maybe I wanted them to tell me not to bother, to call me an idiot for even considering it. Instead, Tyler gave me exactly the push I didn't need. Dude, it's just a creepypasta seed. Don't be a coward. Load it up. What's the worst that happens? A creepy tree spawns? Or, Mia added, we all get murdered by blocky demons. Either way, entertainment value. Their laughter made it feel smaller, safer. Just a joke. Just a story. But underneath my smile, my stomach tightened. Because a part of me knew this wasn't just another joke. I glanced at the time. 2:59 a.m. My finger hovered over the keyboard. Fine, I muttered. But if my computer explodes, I'm blaming you two. Deal, Tyler said. I typed in the seed. The screen froze for a moment, longer than it should have before the loading bar appeared. My breath caught, heart thudding louder with every second. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I'd spawn into a forest, maybe a desert, Nothing unusual. But the moment the world finished loading, I knew something was wrong. It wasn't dramatic. There was no thunderclap, no ominous soundtrack. Just silence. Total silence. No music, no ambient sounds. The game looked like Minecraft, but somehow it didn't feel like it. The air in the room grew heavy, like the monitor was exhaling into my face. "Okay, that's weird," I whispered. "What's weird?" Tyler asked. "Nothing," I lied, because I didn't know how to explain it. Mia chuckled. "Don't get spooked already. It's literally blocks," but it wasn't. Not anymore. I couldn't say why, but every part of me knew it. I should have logged out right then. Deleted the world, forgotten about it. But I didn't. I pushed forward. Because that's what curiosity does. It makes you ignore every alarm bell, screaming in your head, and the deeper I went into that world, the clearer it became. This wasn't just a glitch, or a seed, or a story. This was something else. At first, nothing stood out. I spawned in what looked like a plains biome, the kind I'd seen 100 times before. Rolling green, tall grass swaying, a few scattered trees. Perfectly normal. I almost laughed at myself, half ready to tell Tyler and Mia that the seed was just a dud, that I'd been worked up over nothing. But then the detail started creeping in. The grass texture. It looked off. Not wrong, exactly, but darker, like the colors had been washed in dirty water. The trees stood too far apart, arranged in a way that felt deliberate, almost symmetrical, like someone had carefully placed them instead of letting the codes scatter them naturally. And the sky, God, the sky. It was the same pale blue, but flat, like a painted backdrop. "Okay, that's kind of creepy," I muttered. "What is?" Mia asked. I moved my character forward. "Nothing, just weird terrain generation." I walked toward a small village on the horizon. Relief tugged at me. It was familiar, a normal landmark. Villages always felt like safety in survival mode. A place to trade, to rest, to feel less alone. But as I got closer, the relief drained out of me. The villagers weren't moving. Not like they usually did, waddling around with their heads bobbing, mumbling their low, goofy noises. They were standing still. Every single one. Lined up along the edge of the village like they were waiting for me. Guys? My voice cracked a little. "What now?" Tyler groaned. "The villagers. They're just staring," Mia laughed. "What do you mean, staring? They don't even have eyes." "Staring. They don't even have eyes." But they did. Or at least these did. Tiny black dots had appeared on their blank, blocky faces. Unblinking, fixed on me. I backed away from the village. A pig wandered past me, and for a moment, I felt silly again. Just a pig, snorting and walking like pigs always did. Except when it passed under the shadow of a tree, it froze. Its legs locked stiff, and its head twisted slowly, impossibly far until it was looking directly at me. If you've ever heard the cave sounds in Minecraft, you know how creepy they can be. Those low, ambient moans and echoes that pop up for no reason, just to make your skin crawl. But this sound, this wasn't in the game. It was like static, layered with a low hum vibrating in my headphones. It rattled inside my skull. "Tell me you guys hear that," I whispered. "Hear what?" Tyler said. "The sound." "Nope, you're losing it, man." But I wasn't losing it. I know that sound was real. I can still hear it sometimes when my room is quiet enough. I forced myself to keep moving. Part of me wanted to log out, to end it there, but another part, stronger, needed to see more. Because this wasn't random. This was designed. I headed away from the village, across hills that looked normal until I noticed the patterns. The dirt blocks formed shaped circles, spirals, things that don't generate naturally. I dug one up, and beneath it was stone carved with symbols. Letters? Numbers? I don't know. But I recognized them somehow. That's the worst part. They weren't foreign, they were familiar. Like something I'd forgotten years ago, but never truly lost. My stomach turned cold. What do they mean? I whispered to myself. Who are you talking to? Mia asked. I didn't answer. The sun was starting to set, blocky light stretching across the unnatural plains. Normally I'd be building shelter by then, prepping for mobs. But I couldn't think about gameplay mechanics anymore. I couldn't even think about survival. I could only think about those villagers standing in rows, those animals twisting their heads, those symbols that felt like they'd been waiting for me to dig them up. I pressed escape, hovered over save and quit to title. My hand trembled on the mouse, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't log off. Curiosity had its claws in me, and fear wasn't enough to pull me back. Not yet. Night fell in the seed, and I realized something strange. There were no mobs. No zombies groaning in the distance, no skeletons rattling their bones, not even the hiss of a spider. The darkness felt empty, like the game had been scrubbed clean of everything hostile. And yet, it didn't feel safer. If anything, it felt worse. Guess you're lucky, Tyler said through Discord. Free night. No mobs, no stress. But his voice sounded tinny in my headphones. Distant, like he wasn't really there. I tried to laugh it off, but the sound caught in my throat. I built a small shelter out of cobblestone, more out of habit than necessity. I placed a torch on the wall, its light flickering across the gray blocks. For a second, I almost convinced myself it was fine, that the weird villagers, the stiff animals, the symbols, they were just glitches. Just random. Then I saw it. Up past the tiny window in my wall, something moved. Not the jittery shuffle of a mob, not the smooth pathing of a villager. This was different. A tall, humanoid figure standing in the field, its shape warped, edges glitching like the pixels couldn't decide what they wanted to be. I froze, hand hovering over the keyboard. Guys, do you see this? See what? Mia asked. There's someone out there, like another player? Tyler said. Yeah, but no username. Just a skin, or half a skin. It looks broken. I pressed forward to the window, squinting. The figure twitched. Not like movement, like a corrupted frame, skipping in and out of reality. For a split second, its head snapped sideways, stretching further than the model should allow, then snapped back. Okay, nope, I muttered. Tyler laughed. You're just spooking yourself. But then it happened. In the in-game chat, a message appeared. Just one word. Hello. My blood iced over. Did you guys type that? Type what? Mia asked. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Another message appeared. I see you. Okay, seriously, who's messing with me? I demanded. Dude, nothing's in the chat, Tyler said. Are you trolling us? I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe it was just some prank plugin or Discord overlay glitch. But the words kept coming. You shouldn't be here, leave before it finds you. I couldn't breathe. My cursor shook as I turned my character, looking back at the figure. It hadn't moved closer, but somehow it felt nearer. The glitched edges of its body buzzed like static against the background. I typed into the chat, my hands trembling. "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "Don't pretend," and then, before I could process, another line appeared. My real name, not my username. Not my gamertag. My actual name. The one I'd never typed into Minecraft. The one I hadn't used on that computer at all. My heart slammed so hard it hurt. My headphones rang with a high, thin whine, though I couldn't tell if it came from the game or from inside my ears. "I'm done," I muttered. My fingers slammed escape. My mouse hovered again over save and quit, but the option was gone. Just blank space where it should have been. And then, in the silence of my real room, I heard it. Not through the headphones outside them. A whisper, low and stretched, curling around me like smoke. My name. I ripped the headphones off, but the sound didn't stop. It was there, in the walls, in the air. For a moment, I was sure if I turned around, I'd see someone standing behind me. "Guys," I croaked. I think something's wrong." Neither of them answered. Discord showed their icons, green and glowing, but there was nothing. No laughter, no teasing. Just silence. On the screen, the figure flickered, now closer to the window. Its head tilted impossibly far until the black void where its eyes should have been lined up perfectly with mine. The chat blinked. Again. It's already here. And I realized I wasn't just being watched inside the game. I was being watched out here. 2. The figure never moved like anything alive. It flickered, glitching in and out of my screen like corrupted footage. Each time my character blinked, each time I dared to turn away, it seemed closer. I forced myself to walk out of the tiny shelter. My torchlight stretched unnaturally far across the plains, illuminating details that shouldn't have been visible. The grass shimmered, pixels bending like heat haze. Chunks of land in the distance shifted, whole sections of hills rising and falling as though the game was breathing. "Tyler? Mia? Are you still there?" Static filled my headphones. Then finally, Tyler's voice. "Hey." My screen just went black. "Did you do that?" I froze. "What?" "No, what do you mean black?" There was no answer. Just silence. His Discord icon stayed lit, but he was gone. "Mia?" I whispered. Her voice came through, faint and muffled, as if from another room instead of my headset. I don't think this is funny anymore. It's not a joke," I hissed. "Something's wrong." She tried to laugh, but it cracked halfway. "Okay, but I can't log out." Neither could I. The pause menu was gone again, the world stretching endlessly forward. I turned my character, scanning the horizon. The village I'd seen earlier was gone, replaced by jagged terrain that rose into impossible spires. Biomes bled into each other, snow next to desert, ocean next to lava plains, stitched together like broken film reels. And underneath it all was sound. Not music, not cave ambience. This was deeper, like a low frequency that thrummed against my bones. If you've ever felt a subwoofer rumble through the floor, it was like that, but it was everywhere. In the air, in my chest. Then came something else. Something I won't describe. I can't. Not because I don't remember. I remember every detail, but because I don't think it's safe to put it into words. All I'll say is, the sound had a shape, and once you recognize that, you can't unhear it. Mia's breathing filled my headphones, shallow and panicked. "It's moving," she whispered. "What is?" The player model. On my screen, my stomach dropped. Describe it, her voice cracked. It's standing right next to me. I whipped my character around, heart hammering. The figure was there too, frozen inches away. My monitor flickered, the pixels stretching across its body in distorted frames. My real room felt darker, shadows crawling in the corners where my lamp didn't reach. Mia? I said. Her microphone screeched, a high, piercing tone that stabbed through my headphones at silence. Her icon still glowed green, but she was gone. I was alone. The game world twisted further. Chunks of terrain collapsed into nothing, leaving voids that stretched infinitely down. Lava poured upward like reverse waterfalls. Trees bent at sharp angles, their leaves forming spirals that pulsed as if breathing. And then came the bleed dash through dot at first. It was small, the crunch of my in-game footsteps echoing from behind me in my actual room. The crackle of fire when I passed a lava pool, faintly audible outside my headset. I yanked the headphones off, but the noises didn't stop. They just grew louder. I don't know how long I sat frozen like that, staring at both worlds bleeding together. The pixel sky cracked like shattered glass, and behind it was... No, I'm not explaining that part. If you've ever seen what lies outside the skybox in Minecraft, you know it's just void. But this wasn't void. It was something else, and I can't risk describing it here. The chat box blinked again. Did you think you were safe? My breath shook. There is no leaving. I slammed every key I could think of. Escape. Alt F4. CTRL plus Alt plus delete. Nothing. My computer fan screamed, louder and louder, until it sounded like it would melt down. And then, silence. The screen went black. Silence. The screen went black. For a moment, I thought it was over. Relief nearly broke me. I even laughed shaky, hysterical, because finally, it had crashed. But then, reflected faintly in the black of my monitor, I saw movement behind me. I turned, heart seizing, and there was nothing, just my empty room. I stared at the screen again. My reflection stared back, and for a moment, just one impossible moment, it smiled at me. That's when I knew the game hadn't ended, that it had just moved outside the screen. When the screen came back, it wasn't the title menu. It wasn't even the world I'd left behind. I spawned somewhere else, entirely standing in the middle of a vast desert under a sky that never changed. No sun, no moon. Just a flat gray ceiling above me, like the world was unfinished. I wanted to believe it was a crash, that the game had corrupted and dumped me into some random mess of code. But the sand stretched out too evenly. Dunes aligned in rows like graves. In the distance, I saw something jutting up from the horizon. I walked toward it, each step slow, deliberate. The sound of my footsteps didn't just come through my headset anymore. It came from the floor beneath me, crunching like sand was spilling across my carpet. I tried not to look down. The structure rose higher the closer I got. At first, I thought it was a temple, one of those desert pyramids you find sometimes in survival mode. But this wasn't like any pyramid I'd ever seen. Its blocks weren't sandstone, they were darker, etched with markings. Not random patterns, not hieroglyphs, letters, words, and they spelled my name, over and over. Chiseled into the blocks like the world had been rewritten to include me. My stomach dropped. I wanted to shut my eyes, but I couldn't. My hand gripped the mouse so tight my knuckles hurt, dragging my character forward step by step until I reached the entrance. Inside, The walls glowed faintly, pixelated text scrolling like code. Except it wasn't code. It was sentences, things I'd thought, things I'd felt. Secrets I'd never written down, never spoken out loud. I know some of you think this is just another seed story. I've read them too, the fake Herobrine sightings, the haunted servers. But I swear to you, I've never told anyone the thing it showed me that night. Because there, written in jagged glowing text, was something only I could know. A memory from years ago, buried so deep I'd tried to forget it. And seeing it displayed inside a game, on walls that weren't supposed to exist, felt like being stripped naked in front of something I couldn't see. I wanted to scream, but my throat locked up. The deeper I went into the temple, the worse it became. Each chamber was dedicated to another piece of me, childhood drawings I'd torn up in shame, arguments I'd never confessed were my fault, late night thoughts I'd hidden even from myself, all carved into stone, looping endlessly across the walls. Minecraft was supposed to be innocent. It was supposed to be blocks, dirt and water, pigs and cows. But here, the innocence was twisted into something cruel, like a child's toy box filled with knives. I don't know how long I wandered. The rooms stretched on forever, each one another wound torn open, another secret dragged into the light. My character moved as if on its own, and I realized with horror that my hands weren't on the keyboard anymore. Still, the world moved forward. At the center of the temple was a staircase spiraling down into darkness. Against every instinct, I watched myself descend, block by block, into a chamber below. There, on the far wall, was a single phrase glowing brighter than the rest. It knew something I've never typed, never said out loud. The words weren't carved, they were alive, flickering like fire, burning themselves deeper into me. I staggered back from my desk, the chair legs scraping against the floor. But my character didn't move. It just stood there, staring at the words, frozen in place like it belonged to them now. For the first time, I realized the truth. This world wasn't reading my files or spying on my keystrokes. It wasn't inside my computer at all. It was inside me. And whatever it had pulled out, whatever it had shown me in that chamber, was only the beginning. I tried the obvious things first. I closed Minecraft. I deleted the world folder. I emptied my recycle bin like that, would scrub whatever had crawled into my files. Each time I thought I'd severed the link, the folder would reappear within hours. Once I deleted it while the game was closed. When I opened my file explorer again, there it was, a nameless zip that expanded into a directory with a date and at the bottom, a file named after me. Panic feels clinical until it isn't. At first I told myself that meant nothing. Maybe a syncing error. Maybe some backup I didn't remember enabling. Then my phone buzzed with a notification that made my blood run cold. A screenshot of my Minecraft chat. The same messages from that night, timestamped to a time I was asleep. I opened it, and the image dissolved into static before I could even save it. I can't show you the screenshots, and that line sounds performative. The truth is worse. They disappear the second I try to upload them. Images vanish from my gallery. Videos clip themselves into thumbnails of nothing. I've tried cloud backups, external drives, even sending them to friends. Everything vanishes or becomes corrupted the moment it leaves my machine. It's like the world refuses evidence. Uninstalling felt ritualistic. I removed the game, watched the progress bar crawl, and for the first few hours I breathed. Then my desktop wallpaper flickered and an icon reappeared where Minecraft had been. I didn't click it. I couldn't. But the icon was there, patient and waiting. Screens began to behave like memory mirrors. My monitor would flash frames from the world at odd hours, static tearing into landscapes for a fraction of a second. Once I woke to the reflection of a corridor in my dark monitor, the same corridor from the temple, though the actual screen displayed only my desktop. Reflections became windows, mirrors, black glass, polished appliances. Anything reflective showed something the device didn't. Files multiplied. New folders appeared with names I didn't recognize, and inside them were recordings. Not gameplay, but recordings of me. Audio files captured my breathing, my whispered curses, phrases I didn't remember saying aloud. One folder had a text file listing dates of dreams I'd had as a kid. Another contained a single line, "We're closer now." The files were always timestamped at that same hour. My friends went dark. Tyler stopped answering. Mia's last message was a voice clip that began with static and ended mid-scream. I replay it until it distorts into noise, and then I stop because the sound lingers in my ears long after the clip ends. I tried to leave town, to disconnect fully. I stayed with my sister for a week, thinking distance might help. The first night there, her smart TV turned on by itself at 3 a.m. and displayed nothing but pixelated sand dunes. She said it was a glitch. She didn't see the scrolling words that crawled across the screen for me. She couldn't. I was the only one who could. Sometimes when the house is quiet, the game bleeds into the world. The drip of a cave echoing from downstairs, the smell of burning paper, the whispering rustle of chat messages. I tell myself to get help, to call someone. Then my phone buzzes with another notification, another image I can't keep, and the room goes cold. I burned drives, moved files to offline storage, formatted disks. Each time, the world found a new way to reattach. Each failure felt like a step closer to whatever was waiting. Escape has become a performance, and I'm running out of tricks. A new folder appeared last week with my full legal name. Inside was a single file, a screenshot of my childhood bedroom, taken from an angle only I knew existed. Now I wake at 3 a.m. to devices humming, waiting for next notification, always. Every time I think it's done with me. It pulls me back. For weeks I avoided my PC like it was cursed. I unplugged it, shoved it into a closet, tried to convince myself that if I ignored the hunger gnawing behind the screen, it would starve. I filled my nights with podcasts, books, anything to drown out the static hum in the walls. I told myself I was free. But freedom has a way of unraveling at 3 a.m. That's when I woke again to the sound of my computer fan. Only this time, I hadn't plugged it back in. The closet door was cracked open, pale light spilling through like a wound in the dark. My stomach twisted. I should have rolled over. I should have closed my eyes and pretended I heard nothing. Instead, I got up. The monitor was already on, the game already booted. No login screen, no launcher. Just Minecraft, sitting there like it had never left, my world loading itself in the background. The blocks flickered as terrain built around me, an endless cascade of sand, stone, water, until the screen steadied into a landscape I knew too well. I whispered to myself, "Not again." The mouse slid across the desk, nudging slightly though my hands were clenched at my sides. My character turned toward the horizon without me. The desert temple rose in the distance, waiting like it always had. I wanted to pull the plug, rip the cord from the wall, but part of me froze, a sick fascination rooting me in place. I'd spent weeks pretending it wasn't real, telling myself it was all corrupted code and late-night paranoia. But here it was, alive, dragging me back into its cycle like a moth pulled toward flame dot in the corner of the screen. The chat box blinked. Did you misuse? He shook my head hard, whispering, No, no, no. Another line appeared. You never left. My reflection on the black edge of the monitor looked pale, hollow-eyed, and for a moment, just a moment, I saw the faintest curve of a smile. The game had grown patient. It didn't need me to log in anymore. It could wake itself, load itself, even move without my hands. I wasn't the player. I was the played. That night, exhaustion pressed down heavier than fear. My body sagged, my eyes burned. But no matter how hard I fought, the world refused to release me. The sun would never rise there. Time would never pass here. Only the cycle, dread denial, return, and I knew deep in the marrow of my bones that this wasn't the last time. I don't know why I'm still talking. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe every word I've spoken here just drags it closer. But silence hasn't saved me, and if I disappear without saying anything, then no one will know what waits for them. So here I am, confessing. I need you to understand, this isn't just a story. This isn't some campfire creepypasta, some late-night tale to laugh about later. I am marked. The game marked me, and it doesn't let go. Every time I've tried to run, it's followed. Every time I've buried it, it's dug its way back up. And now, by hearing this, maybe you've let it in too. I don't mean that as a threat. I mean it as a warning. Think about its seeds, worlds, data they spread. That's what code does. It replicates, it hides in plain sight. It jumps systems like a parasite. Do you really think it can't travel through words? Through memory? Through the act of knowing? I used to tell myself it was a game glitch, some malicious file. But that was before I saw it bleeding out of the monitor, before I heard footsteps in my hallway that matched the ones echoing in the caves underground, before I watched my reflection smile when I didn't. If this has ever happened to you, if you've ever spawned in a world that felt too real, if you've ever seen chat messages you can't explain, tell me. Leave a comment. Maybe we're not alone. Maybe we're all pieces on its server, running scripts we don't understand. Because here's the part, I've never told anyone until now. I don't think I'm the first. The temple walls weren't just carved with my secrets. Buried in those textures, in lines of corrupted symbols, I saw fragments of others, names, dates, strings of chat logs that didn't belong to me. Whole lives, etched into blocks like a graveyard written in pixels. People who never told their story. People who probably thought ignoring it would save them. It didn't. I wonder if this confession makes me weak, or if it makes me bait. Maybe it wants me to spread this, to keep its cycle alive. And maybe I'm doing exactly what it wants. But if there's even a chance that sharing it gives someone else a way out, then I'll take the risk. The truth is, I don't think I'll escape. I feel it in the way the lights flicker every night at 3 a.m., in the way my phone buzzes with messages that vanish before I can open them, in the way I wake to find new folders waiting for me on drives I never touched. It's patient. It's watching. And it knows I'm running out of time. So here's my last piece of advice. If you're still here, if you've listened this far, don't make the mistake I made. Don't go looking for it. Don't test the seed. Don't search the forums. Don't try to prove this wrong. Because the moment you invite it in, it never leaves. And if you're watching this at 3 a.m., don't. Log off now before it sees you too.